Jason Seguini's hard to say in my terrible English accent.
Hello, welcome to starting lineup. Yeah, I don't have more of a.
Yeah, yours is very nasally and.
Hello. Welcome to starting lineup for round 4. I'm your host, Jason Seguini, and to my left, Andrew, the Animal Weeby.
Yeah, well, we asked for nicknames last week. Jason, I know I had a few favorites for you. Linguini Seguini, that's my personal favorite. The Nature Boy, what about Jason the Killer Cardigan Seguini? Jason the Shadow Seguini? And I'm reading the script here. You took out Saggy Seguini? That's not right.
It's not a nickname. It's definitely not a wrestling nickname. I'm going to pass on all of those for now.
Oh, you don't get to choose your own nickname, Jason. When the people speak, we will know.
All right, let's jump into a few fan questions. And ladies first on this show, we're going to start with Lauren Griswold. She wants to know what goalie should I pick up with Ricketts out?
Yeah, well, first of all, Lauren, it's a goalkeeper, not a goalie. Big pet peeve there for Jason Saggy Seguini. But I like Krit Seiss as a short-term bargain replacement. He's averaged a shade over 5 points in 3 matches, and that's without a shutout. Plus, his schedule is cushy for the next 6 weeks. Of course, Tally Hall, always a good bet as well.
All right, I went with Luis Robles. I had the same decision to make. If you want, he's also $6 million. If you want to save some money, I also considered Sean Johnson of Chicago. I think he has a decent schedule coming up.
Yeah, Jason, a guy we've heard a lot lately is Diego Fagundez, for good reason. He's the highest owned midfielder in fantasy, but 10 points in 3 games is making some owners worry. We've seen names like Hoya, Ship, Rosales tossed around as replacements. You said on Monday, it's time to cut ties with Diego Fagundez. Well, who's your replacement?
Well, you mentioned Ship on Studs and Duds, and I actually really like Ship, especially because he's taking set pieces. He's earning that playing time. I added Sebastian Letou in this spot, again, making a similar choice here. Philadelphia players should certainly be in demand with a double week coming up in 7. You want to make sure you have 4 of them when you come down to that week in fantasy. Speaking of the Union, this question comes in from Rituro, I think. He wants to know, is Leo Fernandez the real deal, or does he end up sitting this week?
8 points at home to New England, 7 at Columbus in a sub-appearance. That upcoming schedule, a bit daunting, but nothing to shy away from. Here's the thing, though. It's hard to see how Hackworth keeps him out of the team right now with goals not flowing in Philly. But the pertinent fantasy question, is he actually a starter?
Yeah, I think he'll definitely play, but he's not yet a guarantee to go 90 minutes, meaning he's either a sub who gets 10 to 30 minutes at the end of the game, or he starts and probably gets pulled after 70. I have him on my team. I think he's made the most of the little time he's played so far, but I'm going to keep him on my roster. He's kind of a hold guy. I wouldn't go out and buy him. I definitely wouldn't sell him. I think for now, you kind of wait until it shakes out a little bit in Philly.
Yeah, maybe a guy to look at on that lineup a couple minutes before kickoff. If he's there, play him. If he's not, he sits on your bench. Another guy in a hot streak, Erick Kubo Torres. Caitlin Hinders wants to know, do you think Kubo will continue the pace he's currently on?
Do I think he'll score 34 goals this season? No, I don't. He's only owned by 7.8% of fantasy players, but he's put up 24 points in the last 3 games. His schedule coming up is a little dicey. I don't know if I love it. I think he's going to, by the end of the season, be in contention for the Golden Boot. His production is going to rely a lot on what Mauro Rosales is able to do, and that means Mauro Rosales has to remain healthy. I don't think he's going to play 34 games a season. I think it's probably more like 24, 26 games. So when it comes to Kubo, he will be good over the long term. If Rosales goes out, I'd get rid of him. I think over the next 4 games, though, looking at Torres, he's probably got 1 or 2 goals in him.
Look, that's a lot of jibber jabber. Kubo's on my team. Enough said.
All right, Mauro Diaz, speaking of playmakers, is currently the breakout player of the season, and Harry Carter has the right idea. He says, how do I bring Mauro Diaz into my lineup to make a 3-5-2 formation? Should I take out Jermaine Defoe, Will Bruin, or Kenny Miller?
Well, first of all, that's a nice team you got there, but Diaz should have snagged an assist last week for that seeing eye through ball to Javon Watson. Alas, it didn't happen. I had him. I wanted that, but I expect more in the coming weeks. The thing is, he's not really a goal threat from open play right now. Apart from that set-piece beauty versus Montreal, you're probably not going to have a David Ferreira on your hands in that sense. So, if I had to choose, just from those three, of course, Miller comes out. Vancouver, a bit of a mystery right now after that shutout at the weekend.
Yeah, I mean, I think my answer probably lies somewhere else in your midfield. I'd want to see who else you have there. But out of those guys, I would probably take Miller out. I want to say Jermaine Defoe, though, because of the long road trip to Salt Lake, dealing with the altitude. RSL certainly going to key on him. Jackson, remember, won't be in that game. His speed opens up a lot of space for Defoe. But I also think I might be overthinking that. Leave Defoe in your lineup.
Yeah, I would do that. Jason, saving the worst for last year. Sorry, DC United fans. DC off to a slow start this season. No goals scored, 4 conceded in 2 games. Paul Barr wants to know. DC has 4 of 5 coming up at home, but they've been futile. What one player would you bank on for that stretch, if any?
This is easy for me, and I almost put him on my team this week. Bobby Boswell at $7.9 million. I think he's a target on set pieces. He gets a pretty good amount of CBIs and recoveries, and home teams in MLS get shutouts about a third of the time. You think that would mean DC United has a shot at least one shutout over the next couple weeks. I think Boswell is not as bad as DC's been. I don't think he's as bad of a fantasy choice for your team if you want to go with him.
You're a hell of a salesman, Jason Sagini. I branded Eddie Johnson a fantasy dud the other day, so he's out. Same for the midfield right now. God knows nobody's tipping for that service. But you said it, schedule home heavy. That means that, look, somebody has a chance at a shutout. If not Boswell, if you're desperate for a DC United player, maybe Christian Fernandez. He is more budget friendly.
All right, let's take a look at the starting lineup. Leaderboard from round 3 in first place, Coyr. Do I need to pronounce that? Is that Coyer, maybe?
Come on, you Red Bulls, I'm guessing?
Oh, okay. Come on, you Reds. Joseph Lescari, 81 points. That is not too shabby.
Not too shabby at all. In second place, Team Patos. Lucas doing a great job. 77 big ones.
All right, finally in third place, Brandon Landos of the Depew Wildcats. Depew Pride coming right behind with 76 points. Andrew, how's your squad feeling these days?
Well, Bruin, Higuain, Kubo up top, Diaz, Castillo, Nagby, Salinas in the midfield, plus Colin on the back line.
You have Shea Salinas on your team?
Salinas, oh God.
Does he know Charlie Brown?
Look, frankly, I'm just shocked that my first 2 weeks weren't better. It is going up. Mennonite Volcanoes on the rise.
All right, I'm taking a decent point penalty this week to get my team sorted for the coming weeks. It could cost me in the short term, but look, we're building for the long haul here. Everybody needs to remember that. Good luck in your fantasy games this weekend. Keep your fingers crossed that Andrew can break that 60-point barrier this week. We will be back next week with plenty more fantasy advice on Starting Lineup.